What is up, Torch Tribe? It's another stunningly beautiful day here in East Tennessee. This is 300 Torches Media, and I'm John here, and we're talking about courage. We're always talking about courage here at 300 Torches Media, and that's where you come in. Together, we're going to grow in courage, okay? So that's the only way this channel grows, is if you actually grow in courage. Okay, so, wow, some lightning bugs, or fireflies, however you want to call them. So I was reading and meditating earlier today, going for a little bit of a walk, and Numbers 13 really popped out at me. And later on, where we see Numbers 14 and 15 about how the Israelites, these tribal leaders, go into the promised land, and they're supposed to give a report back to Moses, right? So what's interesting about that is at the very beginning of Numbers 13, the Father tells them that this land, He's giving them this land, right? He's giving them this land, and He's already told them that it is the land of milk and honey. It is the land of milk and honey, and He's already giving the land to them. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so as Moses directs these 12 tribal leaders, these 12 guys, these princes, I guess you would say, to go and inspect the land. They have to inspect the land, and they have to inspect the people, and they have to give a report back to Moses. And I think what is interesting about that, and I believe it's Numbers 13:20, Moses says, "Be of good courage and bring me back some fruit." Now we see a few verses later where they do bring back fruit. It's figs, pomegranates, and grapes. But is that the real fruit of courage? And so I just want you to think about that and meditate upon that just for a little bit here. And just think about what it means to operate in the fruit of courage. Okay, so eventually we find out that these 10 spies, these 10 scouts, they give a bad report. And only 2 of them, Joshua and Caleb, give a good report. Okay, so that should be a hint at what exhibiting fruit of courage is. Okay, so they believed in the Father's promises that He was going to give them this land, and the land of milk and honey, that they were going to be in that land. And it's just so amazing that how the people, and if you read a little bit later, you'll see where the people, what they wanted to do to Joshua and Caleb is just crazy. It's just crazy, right? So have you ever made a decision in your life where you heard the voice from the Father and people criticized you for making that decision? Oh, wow. We can go in so many directions here. And so what this reminds me of is when we are presented with new opportunities and we do hear the voice from the Father. And I'll give you a personal story in a little bit. But when we go into a new land, when we meet new people, and when we meet new mindsets and new ideologies, how do we operate? Do we operate in a spirit of faithfulness to our Father who has promised us so many things, especially if we are listening to and hearing His voice? Just think about that for a moment. And so a little over 2.5 years ago, my wife and I made a trip up to East Tennessee from Florida, and we came up to experience a holy day, Yom Teruah, with a family here in East Tennessee. And while we were up here, we didn't know that there's a fire over there, so it kind of caught my attention. So kind of apropos, 300 torches, right? So my wife and I, we really didn't know that we were going to be moving up here at that point. But when we got back to Florida, we prayed and we heard the Father's voice, and the Father told us, it's going to happen. You're going to be up in East Tennessee. And so my wife and I really didn't know how that was going to happen. But through some providence and through some miracles, through the Father's amazing hand, we were able to make it up here. Okay, so when we made it up here, we were in a new land, we were in a new environment with people, and there were new mindsets and ideologies that we had to take into consideration. Okay, and so I've had struggles. My wife and I have had struggles in all 3 of those areas since we've been up here, with people, with the land, and with ideologies. But through it all, we have continued to listen to the Father's voice, and we will continue to listen to the Father's voice. Okay, so that's just the story of our life and how that somewhat parallels this. And we want to give a good report. We want to walk in that identity of courage, my wife and I and our girls. So just think about that for a moment and just continue to meditate upon what it means, what it truly means to operate and live and exhibit the fruit of courage. Okay, so this is John, once again, 300 Torches Media. You guys have a most blessed and amazing night. See you later. Till next time.